Welcome back, everyone, to the War on Truth, Climate Misinformation Exposed. Tonight, we're diving deep into a topic that, honestly, sometimes feels like we're trying to nail Jell-O to a wall, the pervasive spread of climate misinformation. And to help us navigate this, we have the brilliant Katie with us tonight. Katie, thanks for being here.
Theodore, it's great to be here. And Jell-O to a wall? That's a perfect analogy for trying to pin down some of these narratives, isn't it?
It really is, because, it's not just random noise. We're talking about a deliberate effort, often amplified by some pretty powerful forces. And frankly, a lot of what we see online, it's a real backlash against environmental progress, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's fascinating and alarming how these narratives are manufactured and then just explode across the internet. It makes championing facts feel like an uphill battle, but it's one we absolutely have to fight.
Welcome, Eleanor. Today, we're going to delve into a critical topic, when power undermines planet,
Katie,
political attacks on climate.
This
session will examine how political administrations have actively weakened environmental regulation.
Deeper current here, a really powerful one. We're talking about wealth and power, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely, Theodore. It's the elephant in the room. Naomi Klein's book, This Changes Everything, really laid it bare. It's fundamentally an economic issue.
So basically, money talks and the planet whispers? Got it.
Pretty much, Julian. And for a while there, after Klein's book came out, it felt like we were actually making headway. Remember the global calls for a Green New Deal?
I do. There was this incredible energy, the sense of collective action. You felt like, okay, maybe we can actually do this. It was a moment of real hope.
And then, poof, like a magic trick, that hope started to dissipate. Because, let's be honest, there was a massive, well-funded backlash, wasn't there?
A massive one, Theodore. It was almost immediate. Corporations, seeing their bottom lines potentially threatened by regulation, poured money into undermining those efforts.
So it wasn't just a natural shift in public opinion, but a deliberate, strategic attack?
Exactly. Designed to sow doubt and confusion.
Ah, the classic protect the profits playbook. Never gets old. Or actually it does, and it's ruining the planet.
You're not wrong, Julian. And speaking of strategic attacks, we saw it really ramp up during the Trump administration. Over 140 measures to weaken environmental regulations, that's not just a few tweaks.
It was staggering, Theodore, appointing oil industry proponents to cabinet positions, dismantling federal climate agencies.
Even canceling environmental justice initiatives.
Yes, it was a systematic effort to roll back decades of environmental protection and just promote fossil fuels. It felt like a betrayal.
A betrayal with a very specific agenda, it seems.
Absolutely. And the speed of it all. It was like they were actively trying to undo any progress as fast as humanly possible. And then you see these major banks and companies who are all talking a good game about renewable energy suddenly just pivot back to fossil fuels.
That's the part that really gets me, Theodore. They had these grand statements, these commitments.
And then the moment regulation looked like it might actually bite into their super profits,
their masks just slipped. They went right back to what they know, bolstered by political actions that favored extraction and export.
So greenwashing was just a temporary fashion statement then? Good to know.
Exactly, Julian. It's a stark reminder that this isn't just about scientific debate. It's about powerful economic interests actively shaping the narrative.
And when you combine that with far-right and populist politicians amplifying this misinformation online, that's when it becomes truly dangerous.
Because it's not just about denying climate change anymore, is it?
No, it's about creating a whole alternative reality where these actions are justified, where profit always trumps planet. And that's how a crisis turns into a disaster.
A disaster brought to you by corporate sponsors.
Sometimes it feels that way, Julian, but it really highlights how deeply intertwined wealth, power, and the spread of climate misinformation truly are. It's a potent cocktail.
It is, and understanding that connection, understanding who benefits from the misinformation, is our first step in dismantling it. It's not just about the science, it's about the money and the influence behind the denial.
Precisely, and that's why conversations like this are so vital. We'll be right back after the break to talk more about how we can fight back against this. Welcome back to the War on Truth. Before the break, Katie, you were just saying how understanding the money and influence is key to dismantling misinformation. But honestly, sometimes it feels like we're trying to fight a hydra, doesn't it?
It really does, Theodore. You cut off one head and two more pop up, often with bigger budgets and louder megaphones.
Or just a bigger social media following, which is basically the same thing these days.
Exactly. And speaking of bigger budgets, let's talk about the sheer scale of the backlash. I mean, the Trump administration alone weakened over 140 environmental regulations. 140! That's not just a little tweak, that's a full-on demolition crew.
It was absolutely breathtaking to witness, Theodore. I remember watching the news reports, almost in disbelief, as they systematically rolled back protections. It wasn't just about slowing progress. It felt like they were actively trying to reverse it.
Breathtaking? Or maybe just taking your breath away in a less pleasant sense?
Oh, definitely the latter. And it wasn't just regulations. They were dismantling federal climate agencies, appointing people who openly denied climate science to lead them. It was like putting the fox in charge of the henhouse, then giving the fox a chainsaw.
And a budget for more foxes.
Right? And the cancellation of environmental justice initiatives? That one really stung, didn't it?
It did, because that's where the human impact is most direct, on communities already disproportionately affected. To actively undo efforts to protect them, it felt particularly cruel.
And then you see these major banks and companies who are all talking a good game about renewable energy suddenly just pivot back to fossil fuels. Was that a surprise to you, Katie, or just business as usual?
Honestly, a part of me wanted to believe the commitments were genuine, but then the moment regulation looked like it might actually bite into their super profits, as you called them earlier, the mask just slipped. It was a stark reminder of where their true loyalties lie.
Loyalty to the quarterly report, always.
So greenwashing was just a temporary fashion statement then? Like bell-bottoms, but way more destructive.
Precisely. And it's not just the corporate pivot. When you combine that with far-right and populist politicians amplifying this misinformation online, it creates this perfect storm.
How do these politicians specifically amplify it? Is it just repeating talking points or something more insidious?
It's often about creating a whole alternative reality. They'll take a kernel of truth, twist it, and then use their platforms to spread it, often targeting specific demographics with emotionally charged narratives. It's not just denying climate change. It's about justifying actions that benefit their donors.
And the algorithms just eat it up.
And that's how a crisis turns into a disaster, right? When the truth gets completely buried under a mountain of motivated falsehoods.
Exactly. Because if people can't agree on basic facts, if they're constantly fed a diet of misinformation, then collective action becomes impossible. It paralyzes us.
So understanding the financial and political motivations behind this misinformation isn't just academic. It's our most crucial defense.
Absolutely. It's not just about the science. It's about understanding the money, the power, and the deliberate strategies used to keep us from acting. That's where we start to dismantle it.
Follow the money, then follow the tweets.
A potent combination indeed, and a crucial step in fighting back against this war on truth. So, Julian's got it right. Follow the money, then follow the tweets. But Katie, when we talk about these tweets or posts or whatever platform, how widespread is this climate misinformation online? Is it just a fringe thing, or is it truly everywhere?
Oh, Theodore, it's absolutely everywhere. It's not fringe at all. It's so pervasive that it risks turning what's already a crisis into a full-blown disaster. It's like a digital wildfire.
So basically, the internet is actively trying to melt the ice caps. Got it.
A bit dramatic, Julian, but not entirely inaccurate, is it? Katie, what makes it so effective online? Is it the algorithms, the echo chambers?
All of the above, honestly. These narratives are specifically designed to exploit those mechanisms. They thrive in echo chambers, getting amplified by algorithms that prioritize engagement over accuracy.
So it's not just about convincing people, it's about creating a constant hum of doubt.
Exactly. It's about undermining collective action by creating division and confusion about even the most basic climate facts. You know, like, is the sky blue? Well, some people say it's actually purple, and here's a meme about it.
And then someone makes a TikTok about the purple sky, and suddenly it's a movement.
It really does feel that way sometimes. Katie, have you seen any particularly wild examples of this online misinformation that just made your jaw drop?
Oh, absolutely. I remember seeing one post that claimed climate change was a hoax invented by big wind turbine companies to sell more turbines.
Big wind turbine? That's a new one.
Right? It was so absurd, but it had thousands of shares. All these comments from people genuinely believing it, or at least questioning the science because of it. It just shows how easily these falsehoods can take root.
So the wind is in on it now? The betrayal.
I knew it. Those sneaky turbines, always up to something. But seriously, Katie, when you see something like that, how do you even begin to counter it? It feels like you're arguing with a conspiracy theory that's already gone viral.
It's incredibly challenging because it's not about presenting more facts to someone who's already decided facts are part of the conspiracy. It's about understanding the emotional appeal, the sense of belonging these narratives offer.
So it's less about data and more about identity?
Often, yes. And these far-right and populist politicians are masters at tapping into that. They don't just deny climate change. They frame it as an attack on a way of life, on freedom, on national identity.
So climate change is now a culture war issue. Great, just what we needed.
It really does feel like that. And when you have powerful figures amplifying these messages, it gives them a legitimacy they absolutely don't deserve. It's not just some random person in their basement anymore.
Exactly. When a head of state or a major political party leader repeats these falsehoods, it normalizes them. It makes people think, well, if they're saying it, it must have some truth to it.
And that's where the confusion about basic climate facts really sets in, isn't it? When the lines between fact and fiction get so blurred.
Completely. It creates this environment where people don't know who or what to trust. And when you don't trust the science or the institutions or even your neighbors, collective action becomes impossible.
So basically, we're all just yelling into the void, but the void has a really good algorithm.
A very well-funded, very good algorithm, Julian. But Katie, despite all this, you still believe we can fight back, right?
Absolutely. Understanding how this misinformation spreads and why it resonates is the first step. It's about equipping people with critical thinking skills and supporting credible sources.
So it's not just about debunking, but about building resilience to the misinformation itself.
Precisely. It's a long game, but it's one we have to play.
And maybe unplug once in a while. Just a thought.
Welcome back to the War on Truth. We've been talking about the digital wildfire of climate misinformation and how it's fueled by powerful interests. But Katie, at the heart of it, isn't there this really tricky tightrope walk between economic growth and protecting our planet?
Oh, absolutely, Theodore. It's the ultimate balancing act. And honestly, it often feels like we're trying to juggle chainsaws while riding a unicycle. Everyone wants a healthy economy, but the question is, at what cost to the environment?
And usually the answer is all of it, if there's a profit involved.
Right. It's like the old argument, environmental regulations kill jobs. We hear that constantly. Is that just another piece of misinformation, or is there a genuine trade-off sometimes?
It's a narrative that's been incredibly effective, Theodore. It frames environmental protection as a direct threat to livelihoods, making it a really tough sell for politicians. They'll say, we can't afford to go green. It'll hurt our industries.
So you're telling me it's not just about the science, it's about convincing people that their job won't disappear if we, say, solar panels.
Exactly. I once heard a local politician argue that a new emission standard would literally shut down every factory in their district. It was a wild exaggeration, but it resonated with people who were genuinely worried about their paychecks.
Fear sells, especially when it's wrapped in a paycheck.
And this is where the financial interests come in, isn't it? Banks and companies, despite their public commitments, seem to keep pouring money into fossil fuels. Is it just too tempting to resist the short-term gains?
It's a huge part of it. They'll make these grand statements about sustainability, but then their investment portfolios tell a different story. The immediate returns from fossil fuels are just too attractive for many to pass up, even with the long-term risks.
But is there a legitimate counterpoint? I mean, for developing nations, for example, isn't there a real argument that they need to prioritize economic development, even if it's not perfectly green, to lift people out of poverty?
That's a very valid point, and it's where the conversation gets really nuanced. No one is saying poverty isn't a critical issue, but the challenge is finding pathways to development that don't lock us into unsustainable practices for decades to come. It's not an either-or, but often presented that way.
So, develop now, deal with the apocalypse later is the unofficial motto?
Pretty much. And then there's the perceived cost of going green. We hear about the expense of renewable energy, electric vehicles, retrofitting buildings. Is that cost truly prohibitive, or is it another narrative designed to slow things down?
Often, it's framed as an insurmountable cost, but they rarely factor in the cost of not going green. The health impacts, the disaster relief, the long-term economic damage from climate change itself. It's a very selective accounting.
So it's like saying a healthy diet is too expensive, but ignoring the hospital bills from eating fast food every day.
Precisely. And what's fascinating is that studies consistently show that investing in green technologies actually creates more jobs than fossil fuels. It's not a job killer, it's a job shifter, and often a job creator.
Wait, so going green actually makes money? Someone forgot to tell the protect the profits playbook.
Exactly. It feels like we're missing a huge part of the story when we only focus on the cost. What about the economic opportunities, the green jobs that could emerge?
Absolutely. The potential for innovation, new industries, and sustainable growth is enormous. But that positive vision often gets drowned out by the fear-mongering about job losses and economic decline.
And how do politicians play into this? Do they genuinely believe the jobs versus environment narrative, or is it more about political expediency playing to certain voter bases?
It's often a mix, but political expediency definitely plays a huge role. It's easier to rally support by saying you're protecting existing jobs, even if those jobs are in declining industries, than to champion a transition that requires upfront investment and change.
Because change is a four-letter word in politics, apparently.
So, Katie, if we're trying to bridge this gap to balance economic growth with environmental protection, what's the most crucial step we need to take to cut through all this noise and misinformation?
Honestly, Theodore, it's about reframing the conversation. It's not about sacrificing one for the other, but about demonstrating that sustainable practices are economic growth. It's about showing the tangible benefits, the new jobs, the healthier communities, and the long-term stability that comes with a green economy.
So basically, we need a better marketing team for the planet.
A better marketing team and a lot more truth. Katie, Julian, thank you both for shedding light on this incredibly complex issue tonight. Katie, Julian, thank you both for shedding light on this incredibly complex issue tonight. And Katie, I think we're all going to remember that we need a better marketing team for the planet.
Absolutely, Theodore. And honestly, it's been a pleasure discussing it. These conversations are truly vital.
I'll start working on the planet's new slogan. Earth, we're not just a rock, we're a lifestyle.
Perfect, Julian. And on that note, that's all the time we have for tonight on The War on Truth, Climate Misinformation Exposed. We'll see you next time.